I call to order the Board of Trustee meeting for March 28th, 2023, and the time is now 6 o'clock.
It's April 4th.
Sorry. Thank you for catching that. I wasn't, and it's a regular meeting. Okay, Trustee Johnson. Scratch that. It's April 4th, 2023, and the time is now 6 o'clock. Trustee Johnson, would you like to give the invocation? Thank you.
Please stand. Stand and bow your heads with me. Dear Lord, thank you for this day in Etna Township. Thank you for its citizens, and thank you for the freedoms that we enjoy in this township and this country. Be with those who keep us safe, who keep us free, and have put their lives down for us. Be with their families and their loved ones as they miss them. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Ms. Varian.
Mr. Evans?
Here.
Mr. Johnson?
Here.
Ms. McKee?
Here. I move to set limits of not more than one speech of 3 minutes length on the same question on the same day for each trustee. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion, Mr. Johnson?
No.
Mr. Evans?
Yes, as I've stated previously, I don't believe we should have a one speech limit. That is not a discussion, that's just making statements, and this board doesn't adhere to the one speech limit anyway. So I'm not sure why that's in there. I have no problem with the 3 minute limit. If materials are provided prior, which some are beginning to be provided, but still not all, have none of the road crew applications or who we're interviewing today, that would help us administer this township a lot better to have this communication and information shared. I'd like to make a motion to remove the portion that states one speech and add to this that this is a permanent rule adoption so that we don't have to go through this at every meeting.
Sounds like it died for lack of a second. Roll call, Ms. Varian?
Mr. Evans?
No.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. I move to adopt the agenda as presented and move to the executive session to after the adoption of the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion, Mr. Johnson?
No.
Mr. Evans?
Yes, a couple things. Again, I had requested numerous times to have it on this agenda, several important matters, including the park pond that we purchased last year that's negatively impacting the neighbor. I don't know why this board refuses to even discuss this or address it. I've met with Licking County Soil and Water, but we can't take any action unless we discuss this and move on it as a board. So this repeated impact to the residents that's being ignored, I think is not right. Also, I was hoping that we could have on this meeting reports restored. We're at 7 months since any report for Skinnell. We're at 11 months for any update, 0 since the development team was instituted. We're at 8 months for any reports for any of our boards, any of our departments, and 11 months with 0 update on the main lawsuit. This needs to change, so I would move that we add to new business the discussion on the park pond impact on the neighbor. And then also an important matter is to discuss, I don't know if this would be new or old, but the vision insurance, which was passed by this board changed without board action, and per, I believe, our prosecutor, that it should be rescinded and then redone. And we can't just let it go on.
Died for lack of second.
And then I'd like to make one more motion that instead of the executive session for the interviews directly after the adoption of the minutes, that we move it to after public comments so that those wishing to speak do not have to sit here for undetermined amount of time. It's for their courtesy in that.
Looks like it died for lack. Roll call, Ms. Varian?
Mr. Evans?
No.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. I move to adopt the minutes from the January 3rd, 10th, 17th, 31st, and February 3rd, 2023 meetings as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
I'm sorry.
Discussion?
I seconded it, but I have the mic off.
Well, I have discussion. Again, these minutes do not properly reflect the actions of the board. They exclude motions made. As indicated in Robert's rule, they should be included in there to show the proper and actual attempts to move legislation through this board. Not putting it in there is only whitewashing what is not being done in the township. And additionally, I see now that on the February 3rd, it lists those that were interviewed in that special meeting that I was not able to attend. It's taken 2 months to get the individuals' names, even as a trustee, and residents have asked too, and we finally know. This board needs to communicate, stop hiding information, and start operating in the open. There's no reason for this, and we got to move forward for the benefit of the residents.
Was that a motion, Mark?
No, there was a statement.
Okay. Roll call, Ms. Varian?
Mr. Evans?
No.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. I move to recess into executive session to pursue of Ohio Revised Code 121.22 G1 for the purpose of discussing employment of a public employee. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Evans?
No discussion.
Discussion to go into executive session.
There's no discussion for executive session.
There's no discussion for executive session, but if you need to have a discussion, go right ahead. Go ahead.
What, are the
Do you have
resumes,
discussion?
are the resumes gonna be provided? I've not been provided any resumes, any names of individuals. I've asked repeatedly of Mr. Johnson and the staff. Are they gonna be provided in executive session? The last special meeting, they weren't provided.
Do you have resumes?
That's all
Do
I
you
have.
have them there at your desk? Do you have resumes?
Nope,
Okay,
and they weren't provided prior when I asked.
okay. Roll call, Ms. Varian, for us to go in executive session.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. And the time is... I move to come out of executive session. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. And the time is 7:17.
Do we want to state who was in there?
Well, you don't have to. No, you don't.
I can put it in the.
No, we could, you don't have to do it in the, but it will be in the minutes. You don't have to say it in the meeting, but when the minutes are done under Robert's rule, it'll be in there. And that's why you found out under the meetings that you just read who was in that meeting.
That's not being transparent, though.
Say what you have to say, Mr. Evans, but that's not true. Okay, that's not true. Okay, we'll move over to public comments, and they are limited to 3 minutes per person. Please come up to the podium and state your name and your address for the record.
Wait.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we voted for that.
Judy Kaffmeyer, 29 Roma Court. Just wanted to know, who is representing whom in Etna Township? When allowed, citizens come to this forum to present concerns to this elected body, expecting their voices to be heard. And the only sound heard these days are crickets when it comes to the issues presented by the citizens that elected you as trustees. On January 3rd, Ms. McKee and Mr. Johnson voted themselves to 15 board appointments, and yet we received no reports about these committees. Why? Do you go to the meetings? Do you represent the citizens of Etna Township? Or was it simply a resume builder? A number of citizens have expressed serious concerns to this board over the past year, but none of these concerns have been discussed in an open meeting. I presented the board with information about solar and wind farms several times. I even did the research, presented the board with a resolution adopted by a township in northwestern Ohio, and simply asked for a review and a discussion. More crickets. Actually, solar and wind farms may be the least of our worries, since we now have another empty cement box gracing the township. On May 3rd, Ms. McKee became our representative on the township development team. Ashley Furniture vacates in February 2023. Sounds more like an anti-development team. And since we no longer have reports about zoning or anything else, for that matter, I would like to present an issue that could be catastrophic to residents and non-residents. A few weeks ago, a friend of mine overshot a driveway that she was going to on Mink Street and decided to turn around in a driveway. This drive is directly across from the newest cement box. My friend was greeted by 2 men in a Jeep with guns, questioning her ability to read the posted sign. No trespassing, violators will be prosecuted. She was also informed that she was lucky she didn't get her head blown off. The actual property that these men are protecting is behind a group of small homes that front Mink Street. One of these houses is for sale. What if a family moves in and young children decide to explore the area behind this residence, or their residence? Do I need to be more explicit? Furthermore, the number of outbuildings on this property appear questionable at best. Were these approved by the zoning director and Mr. Johnson, who oversees zoning? We don't have reports, so who knows? I certainly doubt it. And I suggest that this situation be looked into, but I would advise anyone who does so has a sheriff escort.
Thank you, Ms. Kaplan.
Hi, I'm Adam Kelly, 8990 Smoke Road. I live on the property next to the property owned by the township that has the pond on it that is out of control, and it's overflowing into my yard. It hasn't been maintained in years. There are vermin living in it, muskrats getting into my drainage that I had to put in because of the drainage coming off of that pond into my yard, swamping it out. And I want to know when something's going to be done about that. Mark Evans came to my house and actually looked at it, brought out sewer, Licking County sewer and water, soil and water. And they came up with a plan. He wanted to put it on the agenda, and it's my understanding that it hasn't been put on the agenda after several requests. I'd like to know why it's on the agenda. If this was a neighbor who was living next to me who was not taking care of their property and it was causing a public health issue, you would address that with the neighbor. But the township owns it and nothing's being done. So I'd like to find out what's going on.
I'd like to ask you a question, if you
Sure.
don't mind, please, sir. Did you ever contact the township at all?
Yeah, I
Called?
Yeah, he is.
No, not Mr.
Mr.
Evans.
Evans
He's
first.
did
And
you
I've
call-
contacted
Excuse
you
me,
numerous times.
I don't need you to speak right now, Mr.
This is
Evans.
his time.
I'm talking to him. Exactly. That's the point. So you never contacted the township at all? I mean, you said you contacted him, but have you contacted the township, like Laura, the front desk, where she, or sent us an email or anything like that? I'm asking that as a question, as a concern.
No, as far as I'm concerned,
Okay.
when I spoke to Mr.
Okay.
Evans, that is speaking to the township. since he's-
And I've made you
All right.
well aware, and
All right.
even requested today to put that on the agenda, and you refused.
So, yeah, so my question is, why hasn't it been put on the agenda?
Okay.
Are we gonna address that question?
I just asked the question to you.
Right, I asked you a question, I'm waiting for a
And,
response.
Sir, I just wanted to make sure.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of things that come through the township that sometimes is not always factual.
Sure.
So I wanted to make sure.
Sure, I get
So
it.
we'll look into that, it's not a problem. Thank you.
Yeah, but my question was, why it hasn't been put on the agenda?
Well,
when the
again, I
township-
just made the statement that I made, okay? I just made the statement that.
Right, but
Excuse me, I'm just letting it be clear, we'll get it on the agenda.
Yeah.
We'll look into it, okay? So
Okay.
sometimes, like I said, things are said that are not factual or not true. So sometimes it takes us maybe a couple more extra steps to look into it. And that's the case right now. We'll look into it and see what's going on.
Right, but that's only one of my two issues.
Okay.
The second issue is one of the trustees is trying to put something on the agenda and it's not been put on the agenda. As a trustee, I would imagine he has the authority to ask for, to have things put on the agenda, and I'm asking why it hasn't been done.
Again, sir, I just explained to you.
So you're suggesting
We will
that
put
he's
this
lying?
on we'll put this on the agenda. Okay,
Okay.
we'll look into it.
The next agenda?
Okay, we'll look into it and we'll find out what needs to happen.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Okay.
may I ask?
Sure, yes, ma'am.
If you'll just give me your contact information.
Sure.
I'm Nita Hansen, I'm the new administrator.
Okay.
And I would like to say the same thing to Ms. Kaufmeyer.
Kaufmeyer.
I'm sorry if I mispronounced it. If you will send me an email, I'll be happy to make sure that I coordinate who should look into your issues so
Okay.
that we can be responsive to you.
I don't have, but still I need your email address.
I'm sorry?
I would need your email address.
Absolutely, it's N,
Adam, I'll email you that.
Perfect, thank you.
great,
Thank you.
my pleasure.
And I would suggest this be on the next agenda, because this is an important issue. We've already talked to soil and water.
Again,
It's all about control.
things aren't always factual coming out of your mouth.
Gary Burkholder, 254 Trail East. Several items here. The first thing I want to talk about is a framework, which is the public-private partnership that the Evans Foundation has funded with about 15 participating communities. It's a planning process in addition to what the various jurisdictions are doing, since we have Intel coming in. Even though we weren't included in the original planning area, I attended last week this community workshop and I passed out these flyers at our land use committee. And I went on the 29th. It's a great roundtable workshop event and there's a lot of input. So April 13th, 3:30 to 5 o'clock at the Pataskala Grace Church, 3517 Headley Mills Road in Pataskala. I encourage anyone from the community that wants to attend or the trustees to go. It's very worthwhile and they will take our input. And I'll leave some of these flyers here at the back in case anyone wants to pick one up. The second thing I have is I attended the Tax Incentive Review Council. That is the council that reviews all abatements within the county. There are representatives from all over the county. And unfortunately, the leadership of this township board reappointed Mr. Carlisle, who once again betrayed the residents of Etna Township. He went ahead and voted to continue the abatement on Scanell. And we've continued to have problems with Scanell, so that I hope that based on my comments today, that something will be done by the township. We still do not have compliance with the county subdivision regulations, and they're still not in compliance with the Etna Township zoning resolution. This has been going on for 2 years. We've had numerous citizens come in here, and we've had no updates since last September. So I hope that finally we can move forward and get compliance from this company. One of the other things is we had our land use committee meeting, our citizens committee meeting. We've got draft 3 now, so we're looking at this, marking this up. I think we have to have our comments back into Mr. Leonard, who is the township consultant by the 14th, and then we'll go through it. We're going to have a subsequent meeting to that. The process then it will go to the Etna Township Zoning Commission, and then it will come to the trustees. So I'm looking forward to moving this forward. The question I guess I have, Mr. Johnson, is back to Scannell, is when was the last time our zoning inspectors were out on that site and inspected it? It's really unconscionable that we've had a problem with noise, the drainage, and so I don't expect you to answer it, but if you want to, go ahead.
As a board, I would like to know that too.
There was a letter that went out from the county that actually is working with Scannell to try to resolve these, and they got till the end of June to resolve those issues. So I want to make that clear.
That's not correct.
Yes, that is correct.
And point of order, this is public
and
comments, not
it's-
trustee comments.
Don't listen. Again, there was a letter that went out from the county, and they made it clear in the tax incentive review, there's going to be a special meeting again that's coming up. It's going to be a special meeting. One of the tax review members could not be there at that meeting. They were out of the country. So they're setting up a new meeting for them to be there. But also, as far as the Scannell property, they have till the end of June to make some corrections before they can move forward, if they are going to move forward on the other part of that project. And then they can make a decision if they're going to allow the abatement to continue. So that's what those tax incentive boards are for, to make sure that the individuals are meeting their requirements. Obviously, Scannell's not. So that's one thing. So I want to make that clear.
And that's incorrect. The commissioners vote for tax abatements
So-
before that deadline. That deadline's meaningless.
Any
I was
more
at the
pub-
meeting.
Any more I know you were. Any more public comments? Okay. I'll move on over to, under new business. I move to approve the mosquito control program contract for services for the 2023 with the Licking County Health Department not to exceed $2,500 upon the request of trustee McKee, myself, or trustee administrator, Mrs. Hanson, and to authorize trustee McKee to sign the contract. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion?
Yes, I had a question. Last year, I received numerous complaints about mosquitoes, and looking at what was actually done, it was minimal. I mean, we've had years where it's $1,900, $1,800, $104 was sprayed, I think, one time in the township. I think we've got to be more proactive with this. I don't know why this fell through, but it's one of the nuisances, again, that are affecting the residents, whether it be our ponds, mosquitoes, or what, that we have a duty to ensure we're doing it properly. And I think there should just be one person, not two. You named Ms. Hanson and yourself. I believe we should just have the administrator do this, so she's one point of contact. Anybody has complaints, extra spraying or anything, it's just one person. So I would move to amend that to have the administrator, Ms. Hanson, as the contact and signer for the mosquito control.
Looks like it died for a lack of second, so we'll move on for discussion.
So, basically, Anita's going to take care of the administrative part of that, where she's going to be our point of contact, is that correct? For the mosquitoes, because you're the officer, I want you to be the first signer on it, that makes
Right,
sense.
that's all I know.
Right,
Mhm.
that's all you are at that
Yes.
point, and she would be the one that people would call.
Right, she's here in the office daily,
Right.
so Laura will be
Clarify
here when
that.
she gets the calls and,
Madam President, I can
Yes,
explain. Most of the time, we've always had two people. It was Randy Ford and me, or it was Rosalind and me. That way, if the call comes into the office, I usually copy Rosalind as a trustee to know that so she's aware it got passed on to the health department. And as far as I know, the health department did all the spraying that
They
we
did.
requested.
Yeah.
Right.
Or they larvicided, or they
They
trapped.
sure did.
And they choose when they go out and do the larvicide or the trapping, whether to spray. That's
Right.
all
It's
on
not up to
their
us, up to them.
determination. But I'm not aware of any complaints that came through our office that did not
Right.
get turned into the health department. Now, last year, I think they did end up with some staffing issues at the end of
Yes.
the year and had to shut down a little bit earlier.
Yes,
When I
exactly.
did do a complaint, I believe in
Mhm.
September,
Yes.
they said they didn't have any.
Well, I want a clear track that if somebody calls in, calls
Yeah, when they
to,
call in here.
it comes directly
Right.
to Anita, and she's the one that calls them. Or, sorry, authorizes you to call or whatever.
yeah.
We set up an email, which gave a paper trail. Once they hire an, usually it's an intern, and they hire the person, then you email the person for a paper trail show and turn
Right.
it in.
I wanted to be one point of contact if you come in the office. That's what I don't want. I don't want 10 people calling the
Right.
press to spray.
No, we usually.
Yeah.
And that's what my motion was
We
about.
funnel it
Correct, and that's why this,
You're better
This
off to have
motion,
two
exactly
people
the way it's
because
set.
if she's on vacation, we want to be able to turn it in.
correct,
So Randy usually had
Right.
me email it,
That's how we-
copy Randy, and
Right.
then, or when
Yeah.
you were on, I could still email it
Yes.
over and copy you.
right.
It
And
always
that's what we did
funneled,
last
it always
year.
funneled through the
Yeah.
office, and it was only one person
Right.
contacting the health.
Right, and that's what we,
It's
it's
worked that way for.
Wasn't typically they come into the general mailbox to Laura, you would see it, and then you would forward it to Nita. That's why I said I don't understand why having McKee and even Mr. Johnson
Because if Nita's on
stating the same thing, it should be
vacation,
one
if Nita's
person.
on vacation, it can't go down to the health department.
Well, I
And
would
we've
assume
always
somebody
had-
would be monitoring her
yeah, we've always
email.
had to, that's just how we've had it set up.
It's always been one.
We did it
channel.
like that
It's
last
just-
year and it worked out.
We copied each other,
It's not a
it's been
problem.
this way for years. It's been this way for years.
Roll call, Mrs. Varian?
Mr. Evans?
Yes,
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. I move Resolution 23-04-04-01, resolution authorizing participation in the Ohio Department Transportation Road Salt Contract awarded in 2023 for 1,000 tons as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, discussion?
Yeah, who's gonna be handling this stuff now with our administrator? She's overall employees now, correct? So should she be handling this stuff, the contracts?
She will be working with the contract with previous, she'll get work with Jeff.
We
Jeff,
would
you
work
were,
with-
you were doing salting before, so you kind of know how things are working.
I had not.
I did the last one.
I'm sorry?
I had not done that.
You've
I
never
had not
done
had
that?
Roku, no.
Oh, I thought you did it
But-
before we became
but-
trustee.
Bubba.
Okay,
He knows how to do it. And
Okay.
He's
So are you willing-
supervisor. He should be the one, in my opinion, that should.
okay,
So,
okay.
Was the question whether I should sign a contract? Because I
The-
do think the contract should be signed by one of the trustees.
No, that you
And
should
the
be,
administration of it,
they should be dealing with this with the contract and,
This particular contract with ODOT requires all three trustees on it. That was done by them. That was
Correct.
their resolution that they want, they,
I'm just
for
saying
whatever
that
reason, want the trustees.
we should, we should be, we should be transferring the
Yeah.
duties of the trustees to, because that's her job duty now of being overall employees, so, in that department, so this would be part of it. That's all I was saying.
just oversight of the compliance with the contract.
Okay,
oh, definitely.
well, we don't have a problem with that. Okay, is there your second discussion? Any
Go ahead.
discussion for you, Mr. Johnson?
Nope, we already discussed.
You good? Okay. Roll call, Ms. Varian?
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. I move to rescind the October 4th, 2022 motion approving the group VS Vision Service Plan renewal and adding the group accident plan. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, discussion, Mr. Evans?
Is this,
Well, I think we need a little more time to go over this. Now, you mentioned vision? Or is it, this is just for the
Vision
regular?
Service Plan, VSP, renewal. We never entered into a new contract. We were still under the old. So it's never happened. This is where we would have gotten additional benefits with saving the township money. So we're rescinding that just under Vision Service Plan.
Well, on the agenda is health insurance. That's
No,
the
that's
vision
different.
insurance.
I'm talking about the
So
Vision
you're
Service
adding
Plan.
vision insurance now.
No, I'm not. I'm rescinding an October 4th, 2022 motion. That was the same one that you told everybody that we were getting new benefits in the township. So you should be very familiar with this.
Right, well, yeah, that's what a prosecutor said, to follow the law, we need to rescind it, so I'm glad we're doing it, but it should have been on the agenda, but. So if it's for the vision, where's the documentation on that? I don't have it. I have
Because we
health
never made any
insurance.
changes. We're still under the original contract. Nothing ever happened.
Right, I understand,
So there's.
the board,
Ma'am,
No, but-
There's no paperwork because it was recommended we rescind it before you guys approved the next paperwork because they couldn't take it because of the additional thing. There's no paperwork to give you on it because we're rescinding it.
right, but the board voted to go with the new one. Ms. McKee chose on her own not to move forward with it and move forward with the old one, which was improper. But what I'm saying is, you're gonna rescind it without authorizing the new stuff right now?
We have to rescind it and then you can authorize the new stuff. We were told we have to rescind it first and then the next motion is for the new stuff.
and the new stuff is health insurance. That's the Vision Service Plan, right? Just so you know. Those are two different things.
Okay.
Okay?
But this is what we
Just-
brought up before that was improper. You pushed it through and it's taken 3 months.
Okay.
We gotta start doing things properly by
Okay.
law.
All right.
So if it's to rescind it, yes.
Okay. Roll call, Ms. Varian?
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Who seconded that? Was it-
I do.
I move to hereby renew the plan with Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield effective May 1st, 2023. This is our new health plan for 6VHN as proposed by Ohio Insurance Services and to authorize myself, President Rosalind McKee, to execute any necessary paperwork for the renewal. You should have that in your hands. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Discussion, Mr. Johnson, please?
on our benefit sheet, are we looking, were they at the renewal plan or at the proposed plan?
No, this is the renewal health under Anthem, Blue Cross Blue Shield. You know, some things changed. You should have your documents there in your packet.
One side
And
says
things were sent out.
renewed, and one says renewal.
Well,
I mean, one says, so which?
One-
listen here.
Because one says renewal plan, one says
This one
proposed
here.
plan.
Right, that's
Here it
right.
is.
And they're two different ones.
Yeah, this is the renewal.
So we're asking for the new.
That's what we're asking, which one's which. Do you know, Ms. McKee?
This is the renewal right here. This is where we are. We're going with the renewal. It's gonna cost us more money, so that's just a renewal.
So, on page 3, we're looking at.
Yes.
If Mark-
But-
Marcus is calling.
Yeah, but you're saying it's gonna cost, but
Read the letter. There's a letter, I sent you a
right,
document.
the renewal plan, monthly
Last
cost 17,000, proposed plan 14,000.
Well, it's up to
Can
us
you
to
explain
vote.
that?
Yeah, it's up to us to vote on it. And what we are doing is gonna cost us additional $6,000. Okay, and the reason is because, a lot of activity, and it's gonna cost us more money to cover us.
Right, that's between the current plan and the renewal plan, but the proposed plan
And I
would
believe.
only be 3,000 more, so why are we
No,
going
it's
with the
6,000
renewal, not the
more. No,
proposed?
it's six, and I know you had a conversation with Frank. He's had a,
No, I don't.
oh, Frank never sent you an email or had a conversation with you about the
I
renewal?
haven't talked to
Okay.
Frank, but
I saw the email.
he sent this information,
Yeah.
but what I'm trying to wrap my head around and try to get you to explain is, why are we going to a renewal plan that costs 17,000 a month and not a proposed plan for 14,000?
Okay.
Can you
Either.
explain that?
Either we're gonna go with the renewal, meaning we're gonna stay with Anthem and pay the additional $6,000, because right now our deductible is 4,000. And they can keep us, whatever deductible you have already met so far, and it's going up to 6,000, you don't have to start all over. So we could just continue on, that's why it's renewal. But if not, if we would've went with another plan, the deductible would have been a lot higher. And it would have been, and you would have been starting all over. This is a renewal, we're staying with Anthem.
But in my conversation through email with Frank, which we did last year, we increased the deductible to have savings, but what you're saying
This
here
year
is
is
we're not increasing the deductible at a higher cost. I believe what Frank was saying is, and that's why the term is proposed, that it increases the deductible, but we'll have a monthly savings.
We do not, if you read your document, Mr. Evans, which we sent over to you on Friday of last week, we do not have an option within Anthem to reduce our 52% renewal to 28%. This plan is 33,048 less than our renewal. We can continue to provide like these benefits, okay? And the difference is $6,000.
But that's what I'm saying, it makes no sense to continue the renewal is 6,000 more, but the proposed plan, his words, is less. So I would think the proposed less would be of more benefit to the township, because even he said we would be increasing the deductible. In the renewal plan, we're not increasing the deductible. So it's contrary to what he stated.
No, it's not. If you read it there, Mr. Evans, it's right there in black and white, right in front of you.
When does this need to be?
There is an Anthem SOCSA, okay, you have your HSS, $4,000, okay? And then the one to your right, Unlimited, which is the same thing, which goes up to $6,000. So that's the difference of, it was a $4,000 deductible, now going up to $6,000.
Right,
So
but-
but we're carrying over whatever you've already met in the 4,000, you can carry it over to the renewal, which is the 6,000, which is a $2,000 difference.
Well, that's not what you just said. You said the renewal was the same deductible at
No, I
4,000.
did not. I'm just telling you, it was 4,000, it goes up to 6,000.
That's not
Okay,
what you
that's the
just said a
difference.
second.
It's here, it's right here in black and white.
The renewal is for 4,000.
Okay, Mr. Evans, you either read it and understand it because I sent it to you a week ago, or you call Frank, that's all I can tell you.
When does this
Okay.
need to be a decision provided to
We don't have
Frank
to
Carter?
vote on it tonight, we don't have to vote on it.
I would suggest that we
Yeah,
table
we-
it and bring him in the next meeting if that gives him ample time to explain it, because what you just said is contrary to what this is.
No, it's not, it's right here in front of you in black and white. You need to understand it.
I do, I did this last.
Obviously, well, you should understand it then.
So I make a
You want-
motion to table this. Is there a second?
I'll second. We don't take, all right, table tonight, or we need to do it.
It's up to you guys, I mean, I'm just a vote.
just, basically what you're doing is you're raising the deductible.
That's exactly
And if
right.
it comes to deductible,
Exactly
then
right.
it's going to end up as
Yep.
a wash anyways.
But Jeff, what she's saying is we're sticking with the renewal, which is
Mr. Evans,
4,000.
again,
Ms.
read your
McKee, I'm
document.
speaking to Jeff.
Understand it, we sent it
I
to you last week.
understand, Ms. McKee, I'm
Okay,
speaking to
'cause
Mr.
you did
Johnson.
this last year.
Ms. McKee, I'm speaking to Mr. Johnson. From what Frank said, he was suggesting we raise the deductible like we did last year to capture the savings. I think we saved like $18,000 doing that last year.
We're losing.
We're taking on more risk if people use the medical care and stuff, but it wound up, they didn't. But what Ms. McKee started out saying is that we're gonna renew it at the 4,000, but the proposed says 6,000. So that's what I'm trying to
No,
understand.
you gotta go back and read the table. It's
And if it's not a time thing, I think we should
Understand it,
table it
Mr.
to get
Evans,
it.
understand it. You're just making it more complicated than what it really is.
I understand very well. I did this last year.
If Mark is gonna make a motion to table it, that's fine, but you also have a motion on the floor to approve it, so either vote it down or withdraw it or
Correct.
table it, because Jeff,
Jeff
I
seconded.
can't quite understand, but he also said, can it be, they've got to.
There was a question.
That's what we're going with Robert's rules of order, so I just trying
So what's
to
the,
clarify.
what's the date on this then? That we have to, May 1st, okay, it's May 1st renewal.
So when do we need to alert them?
Or do you need to vote on
Yeah,
this?
one or the other.
Ms. McKee, when's the decision date?
Either we're gonna vote on it tonight or just,
With any policy, they need a date that they need a decision by. What is that
May
date?
first is when we start our new,
But you can't give it to them May 1st.
yeah, so.
What is this, this letter says it's renewal 2022, so is this old?
Right.
Is that?
Are you looking at the right one, Chad?
The date on it is last year.
I think he provided the old one with the new one.
Just so you can see what area
Oh,
before.
for goodness sake.
So you have to look at the one that's in color for the new one.
All right, so he filled this last formality, put on that old one, okay. I'm with you. I was trying to figure that out, that's slow down. Okay.
Because last year, we had a lower deductible, we were able to raise it. We pay out of our HRA directly, but that allowed us a savings of, I think it was $18,000.
But it's,
So he's suggesting that we do the same thing, that we just increase, and then the other question I had too is, we have an HSA, which would give out $2,700. The other portion to the deductible is the HRA, which just comes, we pay it directly to the insurer.
Doing HRA.
And then-
We're not doing that, you know, because this is.
That's this part, that is part of this.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing now. So we have the HRA, which is the township's deductible portion. So once that's met, that's when the insurer starts kicking in. So that's why if we raise that, it'll give us a lower rate. What Frank Hartman said is if we do it again, which would mean increasing the deductible, we could possibly see, I think, 12 to 16,000 he anticipated savings. Eventually, we're gonna hit a wall, that it's not gonna be beneficial, but it seems like right now it is. But I would like a little more clarity on this, because choosing the plan, it looks like from this, we would want to propose, not the renewal. And that's my question is, Ms. McKee kept saying, that we're gonna renew it,
Again.
and that's not the proposed.
You had a conversation by email with Frank.
We have one email.
You should be understanding, you understood this, we sent you the document, it's clear in black and white. It's going up, and, you know, either we vote for it, or we just move on. That's all we can do, we're not gonna keep
But what is
round
the
round
decision
this.
date?
Let's make a decision.
What is
Either
the
vote for
decision
it-
date needed?
are we doing the HRA, is that correct? We are doing that or not?
It's right here, right here, see it right here?
Ms. McKee, are we doing the
See
HRA?
that? Right there? Okay?
We have a mix. This is HSA for 2,700, then HRA to the deductible. It's been the same for a long time.
So like, with everybody that's had a tax about this $1,000 deductible from January to May, and it changes that's on May, or does it go from last May?
That's another question of, because I think the deductible reset, but the township comes out of pocket with it. But my question on this, and I
Yeah,
was
the
hoping
township
Frank
is spending
Harmon.
additional fund, it went up by 6,000 because a lot of activity, so we're paying more money. So either we vote for it, or we vote it down, or you go back to the table, Mr. Frank can go back and he can try to shop it again. He shopped it for a couple of weeks to try to get the best rate. This is the best rate that he can get.
Ms. Hanson, looking at that chart, you see where the 6,000 increase to 17,000 at the bottom, correct? Is the monthly cost. So it's about 6,000 more.
Yes, exactly.
I'm talking this, I'm
It's
just trying to,
$6,000.
so that's, she's talking about the renewal, but that keeps the deductible at the 4,000, but if you go to the proposed, it's a savings of 2,000 a month, because it's only 14,000. That's what Ms. McKee keeps saying, the renewal, and it's gonna cost 6,000 more, it doesn't make sense, why would you pay more if you could save? And that's I really think Frank Harmon either should be here, or we have a workshop, but
Well, I'll answer your question if you want to. Well, I should say more simply, because our employees and everyone else have got to pay a lot more to meet the deductible.
no.
$2,700 is not gonna meet the deductible.
No,
And
but
then that's what I was asking about the HR.
That's, the 2,700 is.
the HSA.
The
HSA,
which
right.
we give everybody to
Right.
get them up to the deductible. and
But
then-
that's not where close to the deductible is. my
No,
point.
it's not, but
Especially with the new one, it's not even gonna be close.
That's the HRA.
But then the HRA kicks in.
For how much?
For all of it,
Until you meet the
So
deductible.
you're not supposed to spend a penny out of pocket.
The employees aren't charged
Well, I
a
thought-
cent.
It's kind of like that gap, I think. this
Yeah,
guy
but we
explained
had
in the past.
HRA for a certain amount. It wasn't till whatever the deductible was, it was a certain amount, I believe, or was it? How was that worded, do you remember?
It was the same way, it was like a gap in between our deductible.
It was to
and
the
HRA.
rest of the deductible.
But it was a certain amount though.
Well, whatever the amount was at that year between the deductible and the other one. I mean, I can't tell you what it was that year.
That's what our current insurance in last year.
But it's saying your HRA then cost, okay, so you do it that way, so you got $8,000, and then it's 12,700 for max.
The-
right? So now you spent, if you're saying we're gonna reimburse for all that, that's a difference of $4,700.
Let's take a call from Frank Harmon.
The-
You guys got questions?
What happened last year is we increased the deductible
Frank?
and got a,
Okay, hi there, Frank, I got Frank Harmon on the phone. Don't do that, please don't. There's some questions here by Mark Evans.
Sure.
So he said he hadn't spoken to you on this, so I want to make sure that he gets his questions answered, so we can either vote on this or do what we're going to do to get it going.
can you ask him when the decision date is?
Can you go ahead and ask your question, Mark?
Can you ask him when the decision date is, since you don't know?
Mr. Harmon,
You have the
this
phone
will be
related.
kick in on May 1st, but you want this voted tonight so it can kick in for May 1st?
When's the decision needed by?
Yes, that would be appropriate.
Yeah, okay, that's what I
M-
thought.
Mr.
Yeah,
Harmon?
You have it written here on the document, so.
Mr. Harmon, when is the decision date needed? If we don't make a decision tonight, what date do you need?
Well, we've reviewed options. Is this Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Trustee Evans, yes. We've reviewed options. There were no other carriers
No,
that were.
I understand that. When's the
Let him-
decision
Let him
date?
talk, Mr. Evans.
But my
please.
question is, but it's better
Let
if
him
we
talk.
go through question. When is the decision date that's needed for this policy? Whether we renew or go with the proposed?
Well, next week, Anthem will be preparing the billing for May 1st. So if we don't have a decision by the end of next week, they will go ahead and draft the original renewal. And then there will have to be some debits or credits. So ideally, the decision would be made tonight versus, I believe your next meeting is in 2 weeks, is that correct?
Correct. And you have it here on your,
And
Proposed
Ms.
renewal.
Trustee Evans, what is your hesitation in moving forward with the proposed renewal? Because
Well-
that's the same thing exactly we did last year when I worked with you.
Cor-
When you're chairman, we upped the deductible, increased the funding, and we captured significant savings. This is the exact same
Correct.
item we're proposing this time around. What is your objection?
I have no objection. Ms. McKee has stated that she wants the renewal that will cost $6,000 more, and not the proposed, which increases the deductible, which only increases 3,000 monthly cost. So I'm very clear on what we're doing. My concern was Ms. McKee wanted to approve the renewal and not the proposed with the increased deductible. All I needed from you was, if we can't make a decision today, what was the date that we needed to do it by? And I understand this is the same thing we did last year, so I'm clear on
So,
it.
my understanding is we're gonna move forward with the proposed renewal at the lower cost, at the 28% renewal versus the 52% renewal. And I believe Trustee McKee is of that same opinion.
And that's what the,
It's clear, it's right here in the document you sent. It's clear,
and what's the deductible, Ms. McKee?
it's clear right here.
What's the
It's-
deductible?
The deductible,
Ms.
Trustee
McKee, what's the
Evans, is
deductible?
$350.
Ms. McKee, what plan are you referring to, the deductible?
It's here on
4,000?
it's here on the table.
And which one is it?
Okay, here it is, right here, 6,350, right here, it's clear. It went from 4,000 to 6,300.
That, you did not say that earlier.
Oh, yes, I did, I have lines drawn to it. There it is.
If that's what you're talking about.
Mr. Evans,
yes,
we're not
I'm-
here to clown and try to say that you're right, because that's what you're looking for. We're just here to vote on our renewal and
The
move
fiscal
forward.
officer heard you. I'm just trying to get a little clarity, to make sure that we don't vote.
So we're
the
going to
wrong thing.
$6,000, correct, Mr. Frank?
Yeah, Trustee
Thank you.
McKee, we're going to the 6,350.
That's exactly right, and that's,
Deductible, which is actually a little bit less than the out-of-pocket we have currently.
Correct.
$550. We're gonna capture the savings, we're gonna, instead of taking a 52% renewal, we're gonna knock it down to about a 28% renewal, and we're moving forward, from my understanding, with that proposed plan.
correct. Okay. And there it is. You know, I know you sent the documents, I have it highlighted here. It's clear, it's in black and white, this goes from 4,000 to 66,000. So, there you go. Any more questions? You got any questions, Mr. Johnson?
No.
Okay. So, there you have it.
Okay. Where's the, so,
You should have this right here. I think what.
I am ready to vote, so.
He was, I think,
do we-
Jeff was
All right,
looking
so
at.
I-
if you're ready,
I
process.
withdraw my table,
You're withdrawing it, thank you. Are
Yes.
you withdrawing your second, Jeff?
although I don't know if we can withdraw a second.
No, you just withdraw your motion. So we're set. All right, so now we're back to voting for tonight. And we're voting for the proposed plan with a 6,350 deductible.
Correct.
Okay, that
So it
one.
went from here to there.
Right, okay.
That's what I'm trying to
Yep.
get.
All right, perfect.
So why do you have the original one circled?
So,
Is that,
Capture some savings like we did last year. At the end of the day, I think versus taking the proposal that Anthem proposed, we should capture about $25,000 of net savings.
But Frank, one question. We do the split HSA and HRA. We pay for everything, so it's nothing out of pocket for employees. Is there a possibility to just go straight HRA? Would that be recommended?
I mean, it's certainly an option, and I'm assuming this is Mark, correct?
Yes.
Or asking the question?
Yeah, it is,
Good, yeah, Trustee Evans, yes.
would it be viable to just eliminate the HSA?
That's certainly an option, that's something to be looked at. It is very difficult to do that mid-year, since the township has already funded the HSA portion. To do a change mid-year could have a tax impact, not only on the individual and or the township and or both, because you can't revert back to an HRA
Okay.
only concept mid-year after you funded an HSA.
yep.
But that's certainly something that could be up for discussion for the 2024 calendar year, starting in January.
Okay, I think we definitely should look at all options. and
Okay.
That should have been included this time, but we'll try to do it next time.
Okay, Frank, I think, any other questions? I think we got it.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
Appreciate your
Frank.
time.
Have a
this
good
evening.
evening. Thank you, bye.
Do you have the motion sheet on that again? You can reread it?
Yeah, I sure can.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'll make sure we got the right one on that. Just reread it.
I move to humbly renew the plan with Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield effective May 1st. There's your date again. On plan 6VHN as proposed by Ohio Insurance Services, and to authorize President Rosalind McKee to execute any necessary paperwork for the renewal. Is there a second?
Yeah, okay, so we had a second. So it's the HSA
We-
Where's
we-
that? That plan is, the numbers are on here.
There's no number.
6350E.
That was provided, that was.
Frank gave that
provided
to
by
us,
Frank.
okay? Yeah, that's what he gave us the resolution to use. That's 6VHN, that came straight from him.
Was 6VHN? Okay.
Mhm.
And that's when he's talking about that one. All right.
And we're sure that's the one. So.
Yes.
Frank Harmon provided the motion.
Yeah. Is there a second?
You already had a
Okay,
second.
discussion? Any more discussion?
No, I'm just glad we got that.
Well,
clarified.
when I read the renewal, it's clearly said renewal, and
It's
it
not
clearly
the-
had
it's
the
the
date.
proposed plan, not the
And
renewal.
even the document that we sent to you last week. And you tell us we don't send you anything, we send it and then you don't read it, so.
I read it thoroughly.
All right, okay.
You misspoke.
Roll call, no, I did not. I said it was $6,000 difference. 4,000, from 4,000 to 6,000, and your spreadsheet shows it there. It's 2,000,
I give up.
it goes from 4,000 to 6,350. Okay, and the reason, again, this is going up because
Can we just
we
vote?
use our insurance here, so that's what happens, and we're not like a 50 or more people that is employed here, so it costs a little bit more to have that insurance. So, roll call?
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. I move to approve the $35 delivery charge and then $100 a month to affordable portable potty for the toilet for the High Point Park, starting April 6, 2023 to November 2023. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Yes, have we gotten other bids?
We're using
Have
company
we,
that
have we shopped,
used all
have we
along.
shopped around? No, because we used to use Rumpke, then we changed last year
Again,
to a different one.
That's
Have we shopped around? Did you check Rumpke? Did you check others for possible savings? That's all I'm asking. If you haven't, the answer's no.
Again, Mr. Evans, this is who we use, Waste Away, so we're trying to use them because they are who we have our contract with. And we did shop around, and they do have the lowest bid so far on porta potties. So, and we're very comfortable.
You did check with the other
Correct,
ones?
that's exactly right, exactly right. Yes, okay. Roll call, Mrs. Varian?
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Resolution 2.
Yeah. I move Resolution 230402, resolution adopting the amendments to the employee handbook previously passed by Resolution 09122911 with the amendments effective May 1st, 2023. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Yes, how are you just shoving this through without any workshop, as has been requested? Our fiscal officer has not even been included or seen this, and I actually was threatened with ethics charges if I shared this with her, and she's the one that deals with it on a constant basis of the discrepancies in the prior handbook. I had asked for a workshop on this and the union and have the attorney present. We have gotten 0 updates on any of this handbook update since Ms. McKee took this over. 0. And we're just being said, you're gonna take it. I've got serious questions and we need a workshop. So I moved to table this so that we can include our fiscal officer, which I believe has valuable input, and have a discussion, because according to our rules, we can't, it's just one statement, so we can't have a discussion in only 3 minutes. I think the handbook that we're changing, that's gonna encompass all the acts of the township, and like I said, there were numerous issues with the last one. It deserves attention in a workshop. So I moved to table this for a special meeting workshop.
So it dies for lack of second.
Okay, and I've got a little bit more time left. This is incredulous, that you're just gonna shove this through without the full input of the board and even our fiscal officer. And again, threatening me if I shared it with her. This is failed leadership, Ms. McKee. And I think we just brought on an administrator. Shouldn't she have input on this? I believe a workshop would be a perfect opportunity to have her use a broad brush and have some input with that, since she's going to be overseeing all the employees. Don't you want to give that opportunity to her?
You finished? Okay, I want to make it clear. I did not tell Mr. Evans not to share this employee handbook with the fiscal officer. First of all, she's not a board member, she's a fiscal officer. Second of all, I did not tell him that in regards to the employee handbook. I told him that about the union contract, which is a fact. You will not share that with her, or else that will be ethics violation. So let's be honest and let's be clear. Okay, so stop bringing, she is a fiscal officer. You continue to bring her up. We get emails all the time. She's a fiscal officer. She's not the board member. Understood? So
Such
the handbook,
disdain.
so let me just make it clear. The handbook goes hand in hand with the contract. And our legal team gave us the handbook for us to share with the trustees. And I sent it out to every trustee.
Friday.
And again, we feel comfortable. I worked the contract, so that's why I was privy to it. The contract goes hand in hand with the employee handbook. Okay, if you know anything about contracts, you would know that. So you can laugh, but I was in a contract negotiation for 18 years. Okay, so I do know a very big union at that. So let's be clear, I know about contracts. So this contract here, this handbook, we either can vote for it, and that's why I brought the resolution here tonight. The board can vote for it, or if we don't vote for it, it will stop a lot of other things. So it's up to us as a board to vote on it tonight.
We also
So,
have the opportunity to vote at the
again,
next meeting after workshop.
again,
Bringing in our administrator.
again.
Don't you want to bring her into this?
This is not an administrator issue, Mr. Evans. Okay, not this contract.
The
It's not.
employee handbook
We
is-
worked on this for a year. Remember, you complained for a whole year that I worked with with our attorneys for a whole year. That's
Zero
called
updates.
negotiation.
0 updates. This is the first time anybody's seen it.
Okay, so we're not here to argue. We're here to take a vote on this.
Right, we're not here to discuss.
So, well, you want to control everything.
No, I want open,
So-
transparent discussion and
Okay.
working with our fiscal officer
You have any discussion, Mr.
and our new
Johnson?
administrator.
Roll call, Ms. Varian?
Mr. Evans?
No.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Failed leadership.
Well, that's better than him calling me a different name. I won't say it publicly, you guys. In email. Public records that. I move to execute the agreement between Etna Township and the United Steel Paper and Forestry Rubber Manufacturing Energy Allied Industrial and Service Workers International Union, which will have full force and effective from the date of execution by all parties until 11:59 p.m. on June 30th, 2025. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Discussion.
Yes, again, I asked for a work session so we can go over this properly as a board with our attorney. It's been refused. This is another thing, just want to shove through. It was over a year and something without any update. Then we just had one little meeting back there, and many things changed from that meeting to here, and this board leadership is not willing to discuss it. They just want to shove it through. And what's interesting is the advertisement for road position has a number in there for pay. It never did before until February, or until March. Well, the draft of this didn't come out for the union negotiating until the 30th. So it appears that there's some sharing of information outside this meeting about this and other topics that continue to happen.
Say
Mr.
that
Johnson admitted to doing this before on the past board, and they've done it now. We need a workshop with our attorney, because like I said, even what was said in executive session has changed. And why? Should we discuss that as a board instead of just shoving it through? Again, if you do, and we just brought on an administrator. I want to work with her. She's going to be dealing with these employees. Shouldn't we give her the courtesy of having the input into this, even at the late stage? Because I'm being brought in at the late stage too, so she's not too far behind me. So I moved to table this, and we could do a special meeting, and we could do it at the next thing, so it becomes effective before the employee handbook. But that's the right thing to do. To not is failed leadership. So again, I move to table this, to have a special work session with our attorney present that can answer questions, and we can have an honest discussion. Ms. McKee, you tell the reporters that you're professional, that you want to communicate, that you want to do that. Your actions do not show it. So I move to table it. No second?
No
And
second,
for the
so
remainder of my time, I would just like to say there are many issues with the contract that are going to negatively affect the township. They can be addressed, but there is a refusal to. And I have real concern about ongoing issues if this contract is adopted as is. And it's been said that it's done, and that's improper, Ms. McKee. It wasn't voted on. So.
Just to be clear, I worked with our legal team. It cost us quite a bit of money to get this contract set up for the town, for the road crew. And we do not need, and he made it clear, because I was appointed to work with the legal team along with the union rep to come up with this contract. I was appointed by Mr. Evans, okay, just to be clear.
Well, I expected updates.
And let's also make it clear that he made it clear to me that we would vote on this today. We will not go into a work session to go back and renegotiate this contract, because if we do, we will be paying more legal fees, and we will bring them back to the table again, and that's what we're here for. We're trying to make a vote on this contract tonight. Either we're gonna take it or we're not. So it's up to the board to decide if we wanna vote on it tonight. That's it.
After over more than a year, you're saying we can't wait a week. We could do a special session tomorrow.
And I also wanna go
And
ahead
Mr. Johnson, don't you want to know about this?
Excuse me.
Because if you followed the law,
Mr.
you would not
Evans,
know anything about it.
Can I finish my discussion? And as he continues to talk about our administrator, I'm glad to see you want to work with her. That's wonderful, and I want all of us to work with her, and she's willing to work with us.
Well, then
But
let's
she
start
had
with
nothing
this.
to do with this contract. So you need to stop that right now. because you're sitting over there with your grin on your face.
I'm one meeting
It has
behind her
nothing
on this contract.
to do with it, okay?
One.
That's fine, that's fine. You were not, well, you could have appointed yourself to do the contract, Mr. Evans. You didn't, you asked me to.
You two. No,
Okay.
no.
Oh, yeah, you did, back of last year when you were president for those 5 months.
No,
Yes, you did.
no.
It's a fact,
No.
it's a fact. So, we will go ahead and move on. Roll call, Ms. Varian?
Mr. Evans?
No.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. Sue us, Evans, since you keep threatening. Sue us. Would you sit there and lie and just told the public that this contract is affecting the township? That's not true. That's not true.
Should we
Do you
have
know
the
why we got
discussion?
this? So
Should
you
we have
need
the
to stop
discussion?
that.
Should we
Okay?
have had
need
the
to dis-
discussion?
Not with you.
Why are you afraid to discuss things?
I'm not afraid, Mr.
Yes,
Evans.
you are.
Oh, no. I'm not. I'm not.
I hope the advocate reports this as it is.
That's fine. I move to approve the $455 invoice to Douglas Rogers for the quarterly website maintenance. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, I have a question. This is already performed. There was no authorization for it. Why are we doing things without prior authorizations? This is continuing over and over again. We've got an issue with the attorney bill that we didn't have authorization or appropriations, that the prosecutor wants us to either do it then and now to comply, and we're doing this again. Can't we have proper authorization? There are rules in place for a reason, just like that resolution that had to be rescinded. One person can't decide to rescind it and not effectuate it at the time, and 3 months later then rescind it when we contact the prosecutor. We start doing things properly and by the book. I have great faith that Ms. Hanson will, and that's why I hope these things will be turned over to her and not just all still given to the board president. Because
Roll
as
call,
it
Ms.
is,
Varian?
Mr. Evans?
no.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. I move to approve the $812.60 to Coghlan Motors for the repair to the sheriff's cruiser number 41. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Again, this is already done. This is being asked for after the fact. Why don't we have policies in place that would allow for these routine repairs to be properly done? We have to stop just operating outside of the system and then coming back after the fact. I mean, the only authorization people have is for office supplies. So maybe, I mean, I joked before with our fiscal officer, you know, we could have filed that $25 CAUV thing if they take $25 in staples. So we need to start putting proper policies in place that authorize this. And again, as administrator, I think that should have been one of the first things done, is giving her the authority to approve things like this. That the call comes in, say our cruiser needs these repairs, it's not under warranty, is it appropriate to fix it? Yes. But instead, they talk to Ms. McKee, yes, fix it, but there's no authority to.
First of all, why don't you use your common sense? It's a cruiser, okay? They need it fixed.
But we
Okay?
should have
You
a
fix
policy.
some certain things you have to fix in advance. Second of all, Ms. Hanson was not here when that happened, okay? So we
I'm saying
just
going
stop
forward.
all the nonsense, because that's what you do. Grandstand, that's all.
No, it's following the rules. We didn't have a policy that allows it. We're a board. We can't do any actions unless authorized by the board. Even the prosecutor stated that the CAUV had to be by board action. However, the first one wasn't, that was directed by you. We gotta stop operating outside the bounds of the rules or resolutions in the law. That's what I'm saying. I think tonight you need to give Ms. Hanson the authority to approve matters such as this. Now, before, each trustee did have that authority to do it. Even Mr. Johnson, there's a charge for something on the website, that he had no authority, it's not office supplies. That's what I'm saying, we need to start doing things right.
Again, you're in your lies. CAUV was taken care of, and we brought a special meeting, and you're still dwelling on it. Let it go, okay? Let it go. Roll call?
Mr. Evans?
No.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. I move to approve the February and March bank reconciliation as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion.
Yes, I want to thank our fiscal officer for providing this information and the detailed reports. I have no questions.
Perfect. It's not a surprise. Roll call?
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. I move to authorize Julie Varian and President Rosalind McKee as authorized signatures and Julie Varian for full online access, and Nita Hanson with the view-only online access on the Star Ohio account. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, I do have some concerns about some on the account. I believe the fiscal officer, that is appropriate. I don't know why we wouldn't just have the administrator again as another signer in that. As far as the trustee that was proposed, I would ask that be removed for past issues.
Madam President, may I ask a question?
Please.
As I understood, what you were suggesting is that akin to signing on the bank accounts, that there would be two signers required, the fiscal officer and a trustee.
Correct.
I think you suggested you as the trustee. And then in terms of being able to, that would be required if there was gonna be any kind of a withdrawal or a change to the amount in the account.
Yes.
But then in terms of being able to view or just look at what's in the account, the fiscal officer would have full access to that, but
Correct.
as the township administrator, I would be given just view only.
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure that I was understanding what
Yes.
it was you were suggesting.
Yes, ma'am. That is
So
correct.
it's very similar to how the bank account
Correct.
is set up now.
That's right.
Okay, thank you for that
Is
clarification.
there a reason all trustees aren't listed as the bank account is then?
Are you asking me that question? So I would just say the only concern I would have
You don't
about
have to have a
that.
trustee.
Permission, I don't have to have permission to transfer money from the checking to the.
So you don't need a
investment
trustee.
account. I don't need a trustee for signature.
Well,
And I don't know how you would second authorize it because it's all.
Electronic.
well, first, there is a document in front of us that shows that you can have additional signatures on there.
Yeah, you can have this.
So that's what we chose to do, just in case if something happened to you or you can't do something, we have an additional person that will have that authorization to do so. Then the administrator, Mrs. Hanson, would be able to view on the account at any given time. She wouldn't have access full like you.
But
I'll explain
this. Things have come up before, I've been a part of doing different things, and we've been like out of the country or something else. And it's come up that money had to be transferred, can be transferred, the person was out of the country.
Or
So
just-
this would allow in a case like that, like if you were out of the country, whatever, that she could do that if it needed to be done in an emergency situation.
Butts and fives and cells.
What?
It's like complicated training.
Oh, so it's too complicated for me to understand, but you can
No, I'm not
understand.
saying that, I'm just
Okay.
wondering
I
if
just-
since if
I'm
you're
just
gonna do it
saying,
yeah.
infrequently,
I've run into it, that's, I understand why there's two people on it. I'm just trying to explain that, and that's exactly what happened.
What, I'd be more comfortable with the administrator on it, with her background on that, like I said, a bank account requires two trustee signatures, this just requires one, correct, to initiate? You wouldn't need
The
two.
administrator's not, she's,
Okay.
but she's not money.
But I'm saying, to do anything with it, you just only need one signature, correct? And
But
I'm
if
I'm
she's
concerned
not
about that.
able, if she's not able, say if something happens to her, who has authorized to go in there and do anything as far as, under this signature? Because remember, she's just asking for authorized person
Anybody can.
to act as full, well, not this,
Any
that's
of the
not what this
trustees,
document
Just like the
says.
bank, if you go into the
Yeah,
bank,
so you
and
just-
any of us, actually, any of the four of us can do anything at the bank.
You need two signatures.
No, we want two signatures, and we made that clear. We want
No?
two
Well,
signatures.
I can transfer money without signatures, so
Right.
it doesn't.
Can a single trustee transfer money?
It would take two signatures for this to happen. We're asking for two signatures to authorize to act with full power to invest or redeem investments. If something happens to Julie, she's no longer available, then that person, a trustee, which makes sense, that's why they have the title here and additional signatures, could act in her behalf.
Could act.
Right.
Then you got somebody that can also, like Mrs. Hanson, our new administrator, she can also view it at all times, no matter what.
Can we pick a different trustee, Mr. Johnson?
If you want it, you can have it. It's not-
I just have concerns about, and I'm trying to be delicate here, recent past financial issues. So I'd be more comfortable with Mr.
What do
Johnson.
you mean by recent past financial issues?
Do you want to talk
Explain
about it?
Yeah, go ahead and explain yourself.
Recent tax liens?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just saying, I'd be more comfortable with Mr. Johnson if you're gonna put a trustee on there. I tried to avoid it, but
See,
I would think it'd be the
that's
president telling the truth, but.
personal attacks. I won't-
Ms. McKee, we're
I
talking
won't
about
speak
billions
that
of
long.
dollars here.
Yeah.
Okay? If you don't have trust in Mr. Johnson, I do, I
You
would.
wanna do it, Mr. Johnson? So what he just, it's up to you.
Really?
Okay, well then I'll be the
Not really,
person.
which one?
Then I'll just do it. Okay,
So, let me just be clear.
so we'll just move on.
Our fiscal officer was talking.
Go
Can I
ahead.
just- So, when I go in to transfer money from, say,
Ms. McKee, are you listening?
Go ahead,
when I go in to transfer money from the money market, excuse me?
go ahead, go ahead.
I thought I heard you say something. The money market to the Star Ohio account. You're okay with that? Correct?
Again,
Online and everything.
I'm okay with it with this additional signature.
How are
Correct.
we gonna, okay, it's all electronic, so.
That's
what if we
fine.
can't- Okay, great. What if,
What's the
I'm
problem?
asking, what if somebody can't log in and approve, are you asking for somebody to?
No, we're not, we're not
She
saying
wants two
that.
signatures.
No, we're just
Just
saying
two
we want
signatures
to.
on the account, you don't want a second authorizer for when I
No,
move on.
transfer
I
money
need,
in.
yeah, listen, you sent an email asking for authorization as your signature to go on this document.
Yes.
And I'm making a motion to have an additional signature on
Fine, you
it.
can
There's
have
nothing wrong with
18
that.
on there,
That's
there's nothing
fine.
wrong with that.
Okay, well,
fine.
that's what we're doing.
My issue is a technical question of when I go in to do the buys,
Okay,
is,
I'm not asking for a login at all.
She's wondering if you happen to be there too.
like,
Right.
you
It
are
doesn't need
requesting
two
a
approvals.
second authorization, or you're just,
You're right, Freddie?
Oh, yeah, but either one could do that, right? What you're
I
saying?
don't want access to go in and do anything in the account. I just want to make sure that if there's a second signature just for authorization.
It's just in
What's the
case.
problem, Ms. Perrion?
nothing, I'm just explaining to him what you're.
She's
wanting.
trying to understand, are you requiring her to get your
All I'm saying
authorization
is,
also?
here, the document clearly states, currently officers or other authorized signatures of this participants and any of them authorized persons or are currently authorized to act with full power to invest or redeem investments in Star for Ohio participant, or to execute or deliver any instrument necessary to effective authority hereby conferred. I don't want to go in and do anything.
Okay.
I'm just asking that we have a second signature.
That's fine.
If something happens, Julie, all I'm saying is if you're not available, I don't want to get in, I don't want the account number, because this is all done online.
I get it, yeah, I get it now.
Yeah.
She just wanted to know if two
And that's
were
all we're
required
doing.
for any transfer. That's all she was asking.
Well, no, because we worked with
That was all she was
we
asking.
worked with Park National Bank, and Park National Bank didn't require two signatures, but the board here requires two signatures on these checks, but Park doesn't. So we were just doing it as a,
She doesn't.
to check and balance, that's all.
That's fine.
Are we good?
So Nita, you would like access and Rosalind, you'd like access?
I don't need access.
But view access, is that what,
Well-
I'm just going to go in and set it up that way, if that's what you would like. While I'm in there, that's all.
She's, Rosalind is
Well-
a signer on the account.
Yes.
So she could go in and do it, or
Okay.
you could go in and do it, and
And then
Nita
you
can
don't-
look
She's
at
just
it.
for view
Access.
only.
That is
She's
exactly
just
what,
for view
that's
only.
what I'm voting for.
Got it.
So that's the
And
motion,
it's,
which I
it
heard
says it
was.
here, it's clear.
Thank you.
Can you call roll?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Evans?
No.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. I move resolution 230404, let's see, 3, to approve the purchase orders as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, I actually have something, the one purchase order for $798, or what's the one for the first one for the lawyer? Is it $398 or $798?
Is that for Brochus and Griggs?
Yeah.
Wasn't that removed or
I
not?
didn't see it.
They
I
removed
checked.
that.
I didn't remove it from the purchase orders.
So we have to do that, because that was
Where's
the
that
one where we have to do it then and now, or according to prosecutor, because there was no authorization by Ms. McKee or no appropriations for the spending.
It's on the purchase orders and it's $758.50.
This is between the January 31st to, I mean,
Oh,
January
okay.
1st
To
through the
January
3rd or the 9th.
Yeah. He asked
That's
that it
before we,
be on record and have a motion to, that for the board to approve that $758.50.
It'll be a then and now PO, and the auditor will deal with it, because it was improper. There was no authorization, the authorization for
This is
Brochus
doing
and
the
Griggs
budget.
ended 2022.
Jeff, this is doing the budget. We were trying to get we were setting the budget for
Yeah,
January.
yeah, I understand, yeah, I understand that.
And then no appropriations, and Ms. McKee authorized work when there shouldn't have been. So that's why the prosecutor has us doing this now.
You know, you
Madam
can,
President, may I ask you a question?
Yeah.
This bill that's being removed, that was for legal services that were in January of 2023?
yeah.
Correct.
All right.
That has some of the wrong rates, I believe, in it, so I
Okay.
pulled it while they corrected those.
Okay. But it wasn't during your term as president? In January?
Well,
Yes.
there was, the rates, what happened, I guess, years back, there was some rates that were, set from way back from a previous, partner.
Engagement,
And, I guess they were charging us a new, amount
Okay.
instead of the previous amount. So they wanted to make the changes.
Okay.
Well,
That's
that's not correct. We brought Brochus and Griggs on, and it was a set rate, and they changed the rate on their own without board action. So they had to do a $4,500 credit after I looked into it. Ice Miller, the other attorney, I think had to do a $6,500 credit because I looked into that. So that's one of the reasons I think we need to look into the trouble contract, ensuring that they charge the proper fees. But yeah, Ms. McKee was president. We didn't have a budget going into the new year. The authorization for outside counsel terminated in 2022, so there's no authority to engage them. There was engagement, and so the prosecutor stating that's improper, that there was no appropriations and no authority by Ms. McKee. So we got to handle it, and then the auditor will deal with that later. But I've talked to Mr. Griggs, and I believe he's possibly removing those charges. So we might not have to do that.
So you're taking out one of the POs, is that what you're saying? or
No,
you're-
I took out the checks.
If you notice, he's always coming after me, you guys. There's nothing
So this
positive in this
This
meeting
PO
that that man said
Or
about
is it?
This
not one
PO,
thing.
it's a weird number.
He
The
wants to be the
29,241.
president of the board, and he will never be. It's personal
Okay,
attacks.
The 29,241 is because the board authorized 30,000 for the whole year,
Mhm.
but 758 of that was before that authorization
Right.
happened. So that, those two combined is the 30,000 that the board
Okay.
prior approved.
Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
that's why there's two weird numbers, but the 758.50 is what I need.
But
a
we're not
motion
leaving it
for.
in. We're leaving it in here, though.
No,
This
we're
is
leaving it
correct.
in, because I
For
need a
now.
motion for it to be approved.
Right, okay,
To
I'm
pay.
fine. I just want to make sure that I wasn't supposed to line it out, so.
But we have to do that separately, correct?
But yes, that's what I'm asking.
Wait a minute. we have to do, so we can't approve these just like this?
No, the
Approve
pro-
two separate motions?
The purchase orders can't be approved just like this, I need a separate motion just for that 758.50.
so we're approving everything except that 758.50 of Brochus and Griggs for the legal of 1.3 through 1.9.
Okay, so you're taking that out, which I'm fine with.
But then we're
Alright.
putting it back in to approve it, so I can pay.
Then we'll put it back another
And a motion.
motion.
Why didn't you
Yeah.
withdraw the motion and make the motion correct?
All right.
It's cleaner.
That's clean.
Why don't you just withdraw the motion and then state it the way we need to have it stated?
All right. So, Mr. Key, to withdraw your motion?
I withdraw my motion.
But we've already had discussion, you can't withdraw after discussion or
Is
revote.
there-
Yes, you can.
You got
Yes,
it
you
going-
can.
It's going in
Yes, you
different
can.
directions, let's just clean up the motion.
Well, we can
It's
just
not
amend it.
a big-
I move to amend the motion to withdraw Brochus and Griggs, Brochus, Johnson and Griggs for legal bills 1.3 through 1.9 in the amount of $758.50. Is there a second?
From what? I don't know what
We're
you're
withdrawing
it from
that,
what? You didn't
from
say.
the original motion. I move to amend the original motion to withdraw that.
You already drew our motion, so it's no longer.
But you can't, per Robert's rules, once there's discussion, you can't withdraw a motion.
You can withdraw
You
it
withdraw it
and vote.
anytime.
They taught us
Never
that.
voted.
Anytime. Anytime. The original, there's the can withdraw. So, motion, so you'll make a motion. I'll make, do we need a resolution for this or is a motion on?
Her purchase orders always have a resolution, so why don't you ask Julie to state what she needs?
All right.
And then you can say so moved and seconded, and then you have the way you need.
I'll do it, but I need to know what number we're on. We're on
You're
four?
on 3.
Three?
You're on 3.
All right. I move resolution number 230404-3 to approve purchase orders with the exception of line item Borchers, Johnson and Griggs for the amount of $758.58 as presented.
I'll second.
Discussion?
Refer back to the prior discussion. Include that in the minutes, please.
Roll call?
Who seconded that, sorry?
I did.
Thank you. Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
I move resolution number 230404-4 to approve purchase order number 1000 dash, or account
That's just the
number.
account number.
Account number 1000-110-311-000, an amount of $758.50 to Brush Johnson, Johnson and Griggs. I don't know, I can't
But
say
you have
That's
to add
fine.
to it.
legal fees.
But it can't be, because that would have been in there, that it has to be a then and now due
You don't
to,
have to say that, it's just a purchase.
It's just a purchase order. Yeah.
Okay.
For legal fees 1-3 through 1923. Is that fine?
Yep, thank you. That's great.
Okay.
Anybody want to
Second.
second
A
it?
second.
I'll second.
All right.
and then just for
Roll
discussion.
call?
Yes, discussion, but for discussion, that was required based on the direction of the prosecutor to authorize the payment under a then and now purchase order for the outside legal counsel provided to the township to the period of January 3rd through January 9th for a total of 4.1 hours, directed by Ms. McKee and provided by Brochus, Johnson, and Griggs without contract, board authority, nor township appropriations in place.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. Yep, yep, yep. I move to ratify the payment of the bills as shown on the payment listing. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
This, what are we up to on the official Downey and Albrecht? Are we still within the limits authorized? Ms. Barron, do you know?
I don't know, I'll do that, sorry.
Do you know, Ms. McKee?
No, I don't.
So I know we overran the last year's.
Roll call, Ms. Varian?
Mr. Evans?
In the middle of the discussion? Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee? Ms. McKee?
Yes. I'll turn the meeting over to Fiscal Officer Julie for quarterly reporting.
I guess it's gonna be short and sweet because I think we've been here long enough. But I just wanted to report for the first quarter of 2023 that we've had 355,000 in revenues and we've had 62,946 in expenses.
Okay, balance,
Oh, dude.
our hands on
I
balance.
didn't print it, sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
That's all.
Actually, if you look at the bank statement, you have it on March, I think that's at least the check. Oh, you don't have the bank cards.
That's okay, I didn't find it. It's all right. I just, usually we get a number where we're at, so we know budget-wise if we're in within
Well, I
budget
know
or
there's
not.
over 5 million, so for a total.
So, yeah, so
probably
we're
not.
way under.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Yep. Yes.
There.
Announcements and trustee comments are limited to 3 minutes. Trustee Johnson?
None. Who's that folder?
Evans?
Yes. In a recent newspaper article, Ms. McKee was quoted as saying that the township employees want, and she want to work together with the other board members. We are all professional people. We want to work, we want to get along, we want to communicate. Words are easy, actions are not. Over the last year, Ms. McKee could have chose to do that as board president. However, she chose not to. She chose to exclude. She chose to keep information from other trustees and to stifle any discussion in public on important matters, including the union, our employee handbook, and so on. Over and over, Ms. McKee says she wants to work together in that. Over and over, it's been proven she does not. And another thing about these agendas, we had a special meeting where the public comments were not included. Public comments should be included on every meeting. We work for the public. We should listen to the public, and we should respond to the public. To do so otherwise is just hubris. We're not here for ourselves, our career, our resumes. We need to start working towards doing our duty for the township residents. We had another resident here that I've been working with regarding the pond issues. Met with Soil and Water, ignored numerous times by Ms. McKee, and even Mr. Johnson would not allow discussion on that. That's not right. We've also seen them ignore the issues with Scanella and FedEx on Lynn's Road. We need to start working for the residents. And again, Ms. McKee could have chose to live by her words over a year ago, but instead chose not to. We haven't had updates. We haven't had anything. And again, rooms like that are locked from access. We've had Mr. Johnson take a whole lockbox of keys out of here. Ms. Varian, you still don't have access to that, do you? No. Mr. Johnson, where are those? This township, I can't go to the garage and take a trailer, but yet you feel you can do that. And then you tell the prosecutor one thing, and Ms. Varian, our fiscal officer, doesn't have access to it. And these records requests are not being fulfilled because Ms. McKee is keeping our fiscal officers access from these records. If you're not gonna allow her to do her job, take it over. Ms. Brown should do it. Ms. Hanson should do it. Maybe you'll provide the access to them.
Okay. I want to make some comments because this guy lies all the time. And then you got your sidekick over here, Mrs. Varian. We've never stopped her from doing her job. I don't know where you're talking about. We're not giving her access. You continue to lie. You continue to attack me on a regular basis. Continually. I get nasty emails from you. You go on social media and attack me. You use her to finish off the attacking me. You always bring her up. She can't speak for herself. She doesn't deny it. So obviously she does accept your behavior because she doesn't deny your behavior. So you need to stop just saying, I don't want to work. Yeah, we want to work. Ms. Hanson is here as a new administrator. I'm so glad that she is here. I'm glad we brought her on board. I'm glad we have, we're able to work as a team, but you're the one that's fighting us. We got some horrible emails from you yesterday and today. And you talk about we want to work together. Yes, we do all want to work together. We have plenty of emails from you already where you have said some really foul things to me and also to Laura. And even Julie had to get on there and go after you and tell you, why are you attacking Ms. Hanson? She just got here.
No,
What
it's
does she have to do?
I quoted you.
No, you did not. No, you did not, Mr. Evans. Here's the email. Help me, this is Julie, I quote, help me understand this. I asked for an agenda item, and that sparks anger over Anita. This is Julie saying this to you
Because
you have an anger problem. You continue to cause problems in this township, and you want to be the hero. You're not. You're not, Mr. Evans. We're getting a lot of work done around here, whether you believe it or not. What you want to do is fight us all the time.
Not in
And
public,
we
you are.
ignore you.
Not in public.
We ignore you because as far as I'm concerned, you're not worth it. You're not worth it, Mr. Evans. We are professionals. We all right here had professional positions and worked for a long time. And we did our jobs and we got along with people because that's what we wanted to do. But you continue to make
You
this
haven't
cause
done it for a
problem.
year.
No, because you're not getting your way. You want to be the
Nope.
president.
Nope.
That was your main objective, to be the president of this board.
Nope.
You had the opportunity to do that, but you proved that you're not a leader. So I am now the president and you hate me for that.
Nope.
It's a fact. I get emails from you all the time. My name constantly comes out of your mouth. Free rent in your head every day. My name constantly
Stop
comes out of your mouth.
breaking the law.
Constantly.
Stop
That's
breaking
what
the law.
happens. No, I'm not. If I'm breaking the law, then sue us. Sue me.
We had to rescind
Okay.
that resolution because of the prosecutor. We had to do that.
There
now
was
because of the
nothing that
prosecutor.
no, it was not worth the headaches because you've called and called and called and just, constantly called the prosecutor's office for no reason.
Because someone's
So-
breaking the law.
No, nobody's, well, if I'm breaking the law, do something about it then,
How about just not break the law?
okay? How about do something about it instead of threats?
How about follow our rules?
Mark, that's your problem. You think you are. But I'll let it go from there. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
That's right. I'll second.
Just a second. All right, Mr. Evans?
Yes,
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
that was very professional.
The time for it is 8:50.